The inauguration of President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa for a second term in office afforded, amongst many things, the opportunity for President Bola Tinubu to make an appearance and improve cooperation between both countries. That's our focus on Special Report. If the story of Africa is told, some countries stand out in many ramifications, including Nigeria and South Africa, who, though located in different cardinal directions, have common denominators, such as being both former British colonies, members of the African Union, with a history that transcends both countries' path to independence. Leaders of both countries have interfaced, the latest being President Bola Tinubu, who alongside other African leaders attended the inauguration of President Cyril Ramaphosa in South Africa for his second term in office. The trio of helicopters bear the country's flag. A moment for culture. And a gun salute. President Cyril Ramaphosa strides to the lectern to deliver his inauguration speech, one of national unity.
Born of the same soil across our 9 provinces that make up our unitary South Africa, determined that by our deeds we shall heal the divisions of our past and overcome the ongoing inequalities and hardships of the present. We cannot rest until the young people. 30 years have passed since we turned our back on racial tyranny and embraced an open and democratic society. We've made great strides in building a new society that is founded on strong democratic institutions and universal freedoms. Their will shall be done. Today, I make a solemn commitment to be a president for all South Africans, not of some South Africans. To defend our Constitution and to protect our democracy. To work with all those who share the dream of a better life for all. To care for the poor, the vulnerable, and to support all those who are in need, and to make our country stronger, more resilient, more equal, and more united.
Afterwards, President Bola Tinubu and President Cyril Ramaphosa meet over bilateral relations.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. It's an honor. Please. Thank you.
Forming a government of national unity to stabilize the polity. And that is coming at a very challenging time for the rest of us in Africa to really come up with collaborative economics that will help our downtrodden and vulnerable people. That's all about it. That's what we have been discussing. Very much at home.
It's been a real pleasure to meet President Tinubu, and I felt very honored to have him at my inauguration yesterday. It was a moment that lifted my spirits and gave a huge encouragement to us as South Africans that the president of an important country like Nigeria largest country by population on the continent and large economy could come and be in attendance at my inauguration. It's a great honor and a really great privilege. And I feel at home as well to have this moment to have a discussion with President Tinubu on a whole range of issues. And of course, we've set up a government of national unity. And I'm particularly pleased that the African continent has responded very positively to the news that we will continue stabilizing the politics of our country, but more importantly, that through the government of national unity, we're setting a very strong foundation for economic growth and to be able to attract investments. But for me, what matters most is to be able to have very good economic links with Nigeria. The two countries, South Africa and Nigeria, are very important in our continent. And when the two countries work together, which we are, and we do things together, it benefits Africa. It is the two countries that are among the pillars of our continent. And I'm particularly pleased that we support each other internationally at various forums, in the UN, in multilateral institutions, Nigeria and South Africa. I essentially joined at the hip, and we want to engender good economic and trade relations between our two countries to address the challenges that our two countries face. So it's been a great pleasure and an honor to have you here, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
And that's why I felt I should come and pay my respects to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, on the handshake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Back home, there was some controversy over the seating arrangement of the president during the inauguration.
In my view, I'm going to say that it was a deliberate thing that this is where Nigeria is going to sit. I don't think that there isn't space in the front. You know, I mean, with due respect, you know, I mean, we're on national TV. You go ask, who are the other leaders that are sitting in front that Nigeria's president, in the matter of South Africa, shouldn't be sitting in the front? You know, so yeah, I mean, it's not impossible that they knew what they were doing. And it's not acceptable. And it's important that we make that point very clearly, that we cannot, and we wouldn't be accepting that kind of treatment. Even if you say it's an error, please, we don't want that kind of error again. And that's the kind of consequence that we want.
While the relations between both countries remain on the front burner, Honorable Doris Ikeri-Sholari is the President General, Nigerian Union, South Africa, who was also the first female President General within the Nigerian community in South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on Special Report today. Could we begin with your overview of the current state of South Africans and Nigerians living in South Africa, with this in the back of our minds that President Cyril Ramaphosa has another opportunity to serve the South African people?
I would say that South Africa and Nigeria has always had a good relationship in terms of diplomacy at the governmental level. And this at least stemmed from the time of apartheid, when Nigeria played a very major and significant role in ensuring that South Africa gained her independence and freedom, especially when they ensured that even the civil servants, our parents in those days, contributed to ensure that all the necessary resources that South Africa needed was put in place to show the support and solidarity. So this relationship has been on even up until now, although there are things not the way it used to be. But at the governmental level, they are still enjoying it. You can see that President Cyril Ramaphosa was excited to see the president of Nigeria. He even paid him a visit at his hotel residence, where they did discuss further on the bilateral relations between Nigeria and South Africa. But most of their discussions was centered on business, that is the collaborations that is between South Africa and Nigeria at the governmental level. But in terms of the citizenship diplomacy, there wasn't an exact focus, although we are yet to get details, because we're informed that the details from the presidency will be provided of that discussion. But I want to believe that the ordinary citizens should be able to have the impact and feel the effect of this relationship.
When you say things are not the way they used to be, could you shed more light on what areas that relations can be improved between both countries, especially concerning Nigerians living in South Africa and the South African people?
Yeah, when you talk about, for instance, the free movement of goods and people, it should be reciprocal in terms of at least, like you can see that from the Nigerian side, there's provision for the visa on arrival, which is not yet reciprocated on the side of South Africa. When people visit and they can be able to get visas on arrival, that is yet to happen in South Africa. So we can see that Ghana already have such and is enjoying such relationship. So I'm hoping that that will be extended to Nigeria, where we can be able to enjoy such free movement. So that is one of the examples.
As far as crime goes, we understand that it's been a challenge in South Africa in recent times, that the crime rate has not been on the good side. How has this impacted Nigerians living in South Africa?
Crime has been a problem in South Africa, not peculiar to South Africa alone, is a global issue. But in South Africa, which is very, very well known for violent crimes, unfortunately. But when we criminalize a nation, that's actually the problem. When you single out a country for criminal activities, we are not solving the problem. In this case, criminals, they collaborate and come together, they unite to commit crime due to the illicit gains they are there to benefit from. So my concern and my worry is that the law enforcement agents must not look at nationality when fighting crime. They need to look out for the law-abiding citizens, unite with them to fight crime, because anyone can be a victim of crime. But when we begin to single out countries as criminals, unfortunately, we are missing the point. So this is seriously affecting foreigners and Nigerians in particular, especially when a Black man or a Black woman is being caught. The first impression is that this is a Nigerian. And until thorough investigation or verification is done, oftentimes, some of our Black brothers claim I'm a Nigerian until a verification is done. So this is very pathetic and unfortunate, because it's stereotyping, and that is not helping to fight the crime, because there are law-abiding citizens in every nation, in every nationality. So also are criminals that are in all of these countries. So when we begin to focus on the criminals and their activities, this way, with collaborative and united effort, we can now begin to fish out the criminals in our midst. And they can even help to provide enough information that will be able to fish out these criminals and make sure their activities are being eradicated within the system.
In what areas can South Africa and Nigeria, both countries, improve relations between them concerning Nigerians living in South Africa? And what particular aspect do you think is the most important that should be paid attention to?
The community, the locals, mingling and engaging with locals. There is already this mistrust and suspicion that exists among cohabitants, unfortunately. And it's because generally the locals, the South Africans, are being misinformed. Because I do not believe that South Africans are generally xenophobic. No, unfortunately, some of this political demagogues, they use this to canvass for votes because now, unfortunately, those South Africans that are not very well exposed and disposed to information are being deceived to see or perceive foreigners as those who are perpetrating crime and denying them of their benefits. So if there are collaborative programs like social cohesion programs that are being introduced within the communities, in these programs, there should be mingling, networking, and interaction between locals and migrants. This way, they get to know each other, they get to understand each other, they get to even know about the culture. South Africans should embrace the foreigners as their fellow brothers and sisters from neighboring countries, and also the foreigners must see the locals, the host country, they must abide by the rules, even practice their culture, engage in their activities, attend programs, mingle in their neighborhood, and also contribute, donate, see whatever needs that are within the society. We as a union are engaging in such activities. When it's winter, you try to provide blankets, for those that are homeless on the streets. Even for new mothers in the hospitals, you go and provide blankets for the newborns. So when you extend a hand of love and fellowship, definitely there would be some level of reciprocation.
Yes, that seems like many good ideas that should be put forward. Thank you so much, Honorable Doris Ikeri-Sholari, the President General of the Nigerian Union, South Africa, for coming on special report.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Tony Agwins is Senior Lecturer, Anglo Ruskin University, London, UK. Thank you for joining us on Special Report today. Now, we can't talk about the inauguration of President Cyril Ramaphosa for a second term without losing sight of the fact that his party, the ANC, for the first time in 30 years, has lost its parliamentary majority. How do you think that will impact on South Africa's relations with Nigeria possibly and the rest of the world?
Yeah, thank you, Olumide. It's my pleasure to be on your program today. The question you have asked me is loaded from two fronts, and I will just take them one after the other. Number one, the loss of the parliamentary majority by the African National Congress in the last South African election was not unexpected. You will agree with me that since the demise of the apartheid regime in 1994, the ANC has been holding sway as the dominant political force in South Africa. They've dominated the political scene, and in South Africa they have 400 seats in their National Assembly, and to have a simple majority you need to have about 201 seats. So this election, as we find out, the ANC was only able to garner 158 seats. And the reason is there have been a lot of concern by ordinary South Africans that the country is going down the drain. Crime rate is high, unemployment is high, poverty and inequality, they are all pervading the space there in South Africa. So that is what has happened. Then in terms of relationship with Nigeria, there's a lot. The ANC, as far as their foreign policy will be concerned now, will not be as straightforward as it used to be, because they've gone into a coalition, forming a national government with 5 other smaller political parties. So they're not going to have things as easy as they used to have it. So the dynamics has changed, and it is going to be a case of let us watch and see what this second tenure of President Ramaphosa will look like.
Now, one of those parties in the coalition government that has been formed, which you just mentioned, happens to be the DA, the Democratic Alliance, who garnered 21% of the votes against ANC's 40%, making them the biggest opposition. It's reported that one of the bones of contention as far as the DA is concerned is the ANC's resolve to stand behind their position that Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza constitutes a genocide, which they disagree with. Do you think this affected voting across the board in South Africa?
Yeah, it did. It did to some extent. The Democratic Alliance, like you said, garnered 21.8%. And some researchers have said, oh, let's just give them 22%. They did very well. And there's, apart from this Israel-Gaza crisis, there's also the issue of the National Health Service bill that President Ramaphosa passed just before the election. So there were a lot of disagreement from the political parties. Many people did not agree with some of the framework of that health bill because they believe that the South African health system is already not in good shape. So, and they felt that President Cyril Ramaphosa was, rushing that bill because, he wanted to gain some cheap political point. So these are the main factors. Another thing that contributed to the loss of parliamentary seat for the ANC is Jacob Zuma, who formed his own political party just in January, about 6 months ago. He formed the Umkhonto Weziwe party, the MK. And it will surprise you to know that this MK party, they also got 58 seats. And if you look at the popular vote in this election, the three parties that came first, second, third, I've got the figures here. ANC got about 6 million votes, popular vote. The Democratic Alliance got 3 million votes. They had 87 seats. And the MK party of Jacob Zuma, that was just formed 6 months ago, got 2 million votes. So if not for the crisis in the ANC, if Jacob Zuma, had not had all the corruption, the fraud allegation, and going to prison, you agree with me that if you add 58 votes of the MK party of Jacob Zuma to that of the ANC, that would have been 208 votes. So the ANC would still be holding their, parliamentary majority today. So the way this has panned out, for me, I see it as a big lesson for democracy in Africa that when political parties are the dominant force, they must serve the people and they must not think that they know it all, And in Nigeria, if we are to juxtapose, we've had a similar problem when the People's Democratic Party from 1999 up to 2015, they also, became very lousy and they were taking things for granted and they were swept out of power. If you recall for Nigeria, though we're not talking about Nigeria today, there was a point, a chieftain of the PDP said they were going to rule Nigeria for 50 years, but that didn't happen. So it's a lesson in parliamentary and presidential democracy that you don't take things for granted in politics and governance.
Indeed. And how will this lesson be understood in the larger context of our relations, that is Nigeria's relations with South Africa? You alluded in your first answer to my first question I posed to you that it may not be business as usual and decisions may not have to be made now with other parties involved in Ramaphosa's foreign policy. As far as Nigeria is concerned, with our history of, some have called us frenemies, friends who at times are like enemies, xenophobic past between, in the instances where Nigerians were targeted in South Africa, the high crime rate, the issue concerning our bilateral relations. We don't have an ambassador there at the moment as we speak. Maybe that will change any moment from now. Do you see things getting better, practically speaking, so that Nigerians can do business in South Africa as they do business here?
Yeah, I think, Olumide, when you look at the relationship between Nigeria and South Africa, I would say, apart from the Nelson Mandela days, from that 1994 to 99 when Mandela was president, and then to a little extent when Thabo Mbeki, the one that succeeded Mandela, was president, from the time of Jacob Zuma down to now, I would say that the relationship between Nigeria and South Africa has not been very cordial. So it may be like a smoke screen. And I don't think South Africa has been fair to Nigeria, considering what we did, how Nigeria led the struggle against apartheid. We really supported South Africa to the hilt. So the relationship, I think South Africa, this is my personal opinion, and from what I've studied and see, South Africa tend to be like competing with Nigeria on all fronts, and they don't want to accept the fact that Nigeria is perhaps a big and a solid voice on the African continent and in global affairs.
International relations have mountains and valleys, highs and lows over years caused by a multiplicity of reasons. Good relations between Nigeria and South Africa can only be the best for both countries and the African continent, and by extension, the world. For Special Report, I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for watching.